The time is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to the midday news on T Solid Radio. I am Joy Akin Olamigoke. First, the major headlines. NGF launches peace initiative to tackle insecurity, conflicts, and violence. NLC president wants stiffer penalties against corruption. And on the foreign scene, Pfizer pushes for third shot as variant drives global outbreaks. Another ever exciting world of sports fights are following COVID-19 case in Brighton's camp. And moving on to the news in details. The Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF, has launched a peace and inclusive security initiative to tackle insecurity, conflicts, and violence in the country. The chairman of NGF, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, while launching the initiative in Abuja, said there was urgent need for consensual action on security governance. Fayemi, who is also the governor of Ekiti, said the launch of PC heralded an important milestone for NGF as it seeks to build a more inclusive and collaborative platforms to drive an urgent country-wide spread response to the security challenge Nigeria was facing. Fayemi said the security crisis had been attributed to several factors, including an oversized population and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the country. He also listed rising ethnic conflicts with different ethnic groups, subsumed in conflict and pitched against one another, and mass displacement of persons from their areas of residence. Federal government denies flood wave, 9 others tax relief. And the federal government has rejected the application of 10 companies seeking pioneer status under the Industrial Development Income Tax Act. The pioneer status in an initiative offered by the federal government, which exempts companies from paying income tax for a certain period. The incentive is generally regarded as an industrial measure aimed at stimulating investment into the economy. The product or companies eligible for this pioneer status are product or industries that do not already exist in the country. The report, however, revealed that 33 firms are currently benefiting from the tax incentive scheme, while the requests of 132 companies were still pending. And the president of Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, Ayuba Waba, has called for stiffer penalties against corruption towards tackling the menace in Nigeria. Waba said this in a dialogue with Labour, Trade and other unions, tagged positioning the union as active drivers of anti-corruption in Nigeria in Abuja. He said Nigeria has remained underdeveloped with poor educational system, weak health institutions and abandoned projects due to corruption, and that it was our time Nigeria made the people the center point of every development agenda to address the problem of corrupt and abandoned projects. He said it was our time the NLC collaborated with civil society organizations towards addressing the evils of corrupt practices in Nigeria. He said in other claims that the point of development was people's centered approach. You are still listening to the midday news on T Solid Radio. Still to come is the foreign and sport news. Do remember to download our app T Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can also follow us on our various social media platforms and at T Solid Radio TV. And moving on to the foreign scene, Pfizer and BioNTech announced that they would seek authorization for a third dose of their COVID 19 vaccine to boost its efficacy, as the Delta variant drove devastating outbreaks in Asia and Africa, and cases rose again in Europe and the United States. With the pandemic once again wreaking havoc, Japan banned fans from most Olympic events and placed Tokyo under a virus state of emergency throughout the Games, just 2 weeks before the opening ceremony. Delta is the most infectious strain of the virus since the start of the global pandemic early last year. However, Pfizer and BioNTech said on Thursday that they expected that a third dose will perform well against the strain and that they would be seeking authorization in the United States, Europe, and other regions in coming weeks. The Liberian government has received a donation of tear gas and other riot control equipment to enforce COVID restrictions. The donation comes at a time when security forces are enforcing regulation against mass gathering. The consignment came from France and follows President George Weah's recent trip to Paris. The security forces in Liberia are complementing the efforts of health authorities to combat the spread of coronavirus, where public has ignored warnings to avoid mass gatherings, and crowds are still seen in entertainment and marketplaces. According to reports, Liberia has been recording increased virus cases and recently received thousands of testing kits from France to boost its testing capacity. And Sydney will face harsher COVID restrictions after a surge in cases showed current measures has not been worked to stop the spread of the virus. Australia's largest city reported 44 new cases today and said a high number of people in the community had been exposed. Residents are banned from traveling more than 10 kilometers from their homes. Outdoor exercise is limited to groups of 2, and only one person from each household can go grocery shopping. Funeral gatherings have also been limited to just 10 people. The New South Wales state government has today acknowledged the rules were shocking, but said the increased number of cases after the city was put in lockdown on June 26 had made it necessary. Sydney siders were hoping to exit the lockdown on July 17th, while experts say the state government may need to extend the lockdown. The Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, will soon have access to the United Kingdom's unique platform to analyze the COVID-19 virus. Through the United Kingdom's new variant assessment platform program, the Research Institute will have access to the United Kingdom's reagent and equipment to increase in-country sequencing, technical advice and training. It will also go a long way in identifying different mutations of the virus circulating in the community. However, United Kingdom High Commissioner to Kenya, Jane Marriott, says the partnership will strengthen the relationship between the two countries. And moving on to the ever-exciting world of sport, the trilogy fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder in Las Vegas on July 24th has been postponed after the Briton tested positive for coronavirus. Fury tested positive on Thursday, and after discussions with medical experts, the fight was called off. It is likely to be rescheduled for October. Meanwhile, an official announcement from the promoter's top rank is expected later on today. And finally, Nigeria's basketball teams on the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, the Tigers and the Tigress, will miss the send-off ceremony at the presidential villa next Monday due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions from the United States. Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dari, had, during the departure of the first batch to Japan on Tuesday, said the team would be hosted by the President Muhammadu Buhari next Monday prior to the departure the following day. It was gathered that both teams, who are currently preparing for the Olympic Games in California and Atlanta respectively, would miss the ceremony due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions from the United States. With that, we've come to the end of the news. A recap of the major headlines. NGF launches peace initiative to tackle insecurity, conflict, violence. NLC president wants stiffer penalties against corruption. Pfizer pushes for third shot as variant drives global outbreaks. Fights are following COVID-19 case in Brighton's camp. Ensure to go by all precautionary measures to stay safe from COVID-19, as recommended by the World Health Organization and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. Do remember to download our app T-Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can as well follow us on our various social media platforms on our T-Solid Radio TV. The news was compiled by Akachi Chijuke. I am Joy Akin Olamigoke. Good afternoon and many thanks for listening.